All right, we're back and ready to dive deep into a story that's got everyone talking. And it's not about hit songs this time. This deep dive is focused on Sean P. Diddy Combs, but for some pretty heavy reasons. You guys have sent us a ton of stuff on this. Legal documents, news reports, articles. It seems like everyone's trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah, you're right. It's a lot to unpack. This isn't just some celebrity gossip. These accusations are serious.
You're telling me multiple lawsuits, potential criminal charges? I mean, this could completely change how we see Diddy forever.
Absolutely. And the picture these sources are painting, well, it's a far cry from the Diddy we thought we knew.
Let's start with the beginning. Cassie Ventura's lawsuit back in November 2023, that seemed to kick off this whole thing, right?
Right. That's when it all went public.
Yeah.
Ventura, Diddy's former partner, she filed this explosive lawsuit alleging years of abuse.
Abuse? What kind of abuse are we talking about here?
She's alleging physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse even, claims of being coerced into using drugs, and a level of control that's really disturbing.
Wow. So did Diddy respond to these claims when the lawsuit came out?
Well, the lawsuit was settled pretty quickly, and Diddy didn't admit to any wrongdoing, but it definitely opened the floodgates. Since then, there's been this wave of similar accusations.
Hold on. So we're talking about more than just Cassie Ventura.
Way more. Think at least 12 lawsuits as of October 2024, all alleging sexual assault and abuse. And that's not even counting the criminal charges.
Whoa, okay, hold on a second. Let's break this down. So we've got the civil cases, which are those lawsuits from individuals, but then you said criminal charges too, right? What's the difference there?
You got it. So the civil lawsuits, those are people seeking damages for harm they allege Diddy caused. But the criminal charges, those are brought by the state, and if he's convicted, he could face some serious jail time.
Okay, that makes sense. So what are these criminal charges specifically? What's he actually accused of doing?
The big ones: sex trafficking and racketeering.
Whoa, those are some heavy accusations. I mean, I know what those words mean generally, but break those down for us. What exactly do those charges mean in this context?
Sure. So sex trafficking basically means exploiting someone for sexual purposes, and it often involves force, fraud, or coercion. Racketeering is engaging in a pattern of illegal activity as part of an organized group or enterprise.
So are they saying Diddy might have used his position, his power in the music industry to take advantage of people for a long time?
That's the gist of it, yeah. And it's important to remember that even though these are two separate legal fronts, civil and criminal, they can influence each other. The consistency of the civil suits, it kind of builds this picture that strengthens the prosecution's case in the criminal trial.
Got it. So even if those civil cases are settled, they still matter in the bigger picture.
Exactly. And it seems like the prosecution isn't messing around. Diddy's been denied bail multiple times. He's actually in jail right now in Brooklyn, waiting for his trial.
Wow. So let's talk about one of the really disturbing aspects of this case. There's a lawsuit out there that accuses Diddy of rape.
Yeah, that's right. One of the lawsuits alleges Diddy raped a 13-year-old girl. It's an extremely serious accusation, and it's definitely added fuel to the fire.
It's a game changer. But we do need to remember that Diddy is innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
He's denied all the charges against him. What are his lawyers saying about all this?
They're fighting hard, calling the accusations baseless and saying the accusers are just trying to take advantage of the situation. So we can probably expect them to try and discredit the accusers, maybe point out inconsistencies in their stories, things like that.
I mean, that's their job, right? But with so many accusers coming forward, all with similar stories, wouldn't it be tough to dismiss all of them?
You're absolutely right. It's a big challenge for the defense. They'll need to really pick apart each case and try to argue that there's not enough evidence to back up the claims.
And then there's this whole thing about the freak-off parties. It's mentioned in a lot of the sources. What do we actually know about what went on at these parties?
Well, the lawsuits and different reports paint a picture of these wild parties. Lots of drugs and alcohol, and women being pressured or coerced into sexual acts. There are even claims that some of these parties were recorded, which could be really bad news for Diddy legally.
That's scary stuff. Where did these alleged incidents happen? Do we know any locations?
They mention a bunch of different places: homes, hotels, recording studios from LA to New York City. This makes it harder for Diddy's defense to argue it's all made up or just limited to one place.
Yeah, it makes it feel more widespread.
Exactly, like a pattern. But of course, the legal process has to play out, and we'll see what the evidence actually shows.
So we got a lot of unanswered questions here, accusations flying around. It's a legal battle that's just getting started.
You're right, and everyone's watching. It's a huge public spectacle. Public opinion matters a lot these days, and it can move a lot faster than the legal system. Social media can deliver a verdict long before a jury does.
That's a really good point. Let's talk more about that public reaction when we come back.
So public opinion, huh? It's pretty wild out there.
Yeah, it's all over the place. You've got people totally convinced that Diddy's guilty. They believe the accusers. They want to see him go down. Then you have others who are saying, hold on, let's wait for the facts. And of course, you've got the diehard fans who are sticking by his side no matter what.
It's complicated, right? I think this whole case is really bringing up some bigger issues we're dealing with as a society. Like, how do we handle accusations? Who do we believe? And how much power do celebrities actually have?
Yeah, it's a lot more than just Diddy, isn't it? It's about how we think about the #MeToo movement and celebrity culture and what's fair when it comes to accusations like this.
Exactly. And social media just amplifies all those different perspectives. It's a platform for everyone to share their opinions, but it can also be this echo chamber where people just hear what they want to hear.
It can be tough to sort through it all, you know? So much information, so many opinions. What are we supposed to do? How do we figure out what's actually true?
Well, I think the first step is realizing that there's rarely a simple answer. There's not always a clear-cut good guy and bad guy. We have to look at the evidence carefully, understand how the legal system works, and be really honest with ourselves about our own biases.
That's a good point. We all come to this with our own baggage, our own experiences.
Yeah.
It's hard to be completely objective, isn't it?
It is, but we have to try. We need to listen to what the accusers are saying and also respect that Diddy deserves a fair trial.
So it's about balance, trying to see all sides.
Yeah, that's the key. So let's get back to the sources for a minute. What are some of the things that stand out to you?
Well, some of the details in the accounts were really specific and consistent. Like several of the lawsuits talk about Diddy using his fame and money to manipulate women, promising them careers in music if they do what he wants.
It's the classic casting couch scenario, but with Diddy, it's magnified. He's got so much power and influence. It makes you wonder how often this kind of thing happens in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, how many people feel like they have to compromise their values just to get a chance? But it's not just about propositions, right? Some of the lawsuits allege that Diddy used threats and even violence to get his way.
Right, and those details, if they're true, it's disturbing. It shows a real abuse of power, and that's what people are reacting to, even outside the courtroom.
It's like this Business Insider article we got. It says, even if Diddy's found not guilty, his reputation might never recover. Just the fact that these accusations exist could be enough to damage his career forever.
And it happens all the time now, right? With social media, an accusation can spread so fast, it's almost impossible to control the damage.
It's a different world than it used to be. So back to Diddy. How is all this affecting him? I mean, his whole image is built on success and power.
Yeah, and that's why this is so damaging. This scandal goes to the heart of who he is, or at least who he thought he was.
It's a reminder that even our idols can be flawed. It's hard to separate the art from the artist sometimes.
It is. But this isn't about erasing Diddy's music or pretending he didn't do anything good. It's about having a real conversation about what happened, how we hold people accountable, and how we prevent this from happening again.
Right. It's about understanding the whole situation.
And we can't forget about the human impact of all this. It's easy to get caught up in the legal drama, but real people are hurting.
It's true. The accusers, they're sharing their pain, and they deserve to be heard. And Diddy, even if he's innocent, he's going through a lot right now.
This whole case has started these important conversations about power in the music industry, how social media shapes our opinions, and how we deal with sexual misconduct.
It's bigger than just Diddy. So, as we keep following this story, what do you think is going to happen next? I mean, for Diddy and for everyone else involved.
Well, I don't think Diddy's career will ever be the same. Even if he's not convicted, his image is already tarnished. This whole thing is a warning to other powerful people. What you do has consequences.
And maybe it'll make people think twice about protecting powerful people when they do something wrong.
Maybe. This case is definitely pushing for change, making people think about how to make the music industry safer.
It's about respect, consent, making sure everyone feels safe.
Exactly. This is a wake-up call, and we have to keep the conversation going. We can't go back to the way things were.
This whole deep dive has been intense. It's made us look at the dark side of an industry that's supposed to be all about fun and music.
Yep, and it's also shown us that people are willing to stand up and speak out, even against someone as powerful as Diddy. That's hopeful.
It is. And we'll keep following this story, see where it leads. Thanks for listening. So here we are, the end of our deep dive into the Diddy allegations. And man, there's a lot to process. It feels like this story's just getting started.
Yeah, there are so many layers to this. It goes way beyond just what's happening in court. The legal stuff is important, but it's a court of public opinion that's really going to decide what happens to Diddy and maybe even change things in the music industry.
We've talked about the lawsuits and the evidence and legal strategies, and I keep coming back to the human side of all this, the real people caught up in this mess.
It's easy to forget that with all the headlines and legal talk. The accusers coming forward takes so much courage. They're reliving these experiences, dealing with the public eye. It's got to be incredibly tough. And Diddy, no matter what happens legally, his life's changed forever. His reputation, everything he's built, it's all on the line.
And as we've said, this goes way beyond just them. This case, it's a reflection of how we think about power, who we hold accountable, and how systems, like the music industry, can protect people who do bad things.
It makes you think, right? What are we willing to overlook when it comes to people we admire? Do we turn a blind eye to rumors because we don't want to believe our heroes are capable of doing something like this?
It's tough to face that sometimes. So with all this in mind, what are the big takeaways here? What do we need to remember going forward?
Well, for me, it shows how powerful it can be to speak up, even against someone like Diddy. The accusers, by telling their stories, they're forcing us to have this conversation, to hold someone powerful accountable.
And we've seen how social media has changed everything. The court of public opinion is so fast, so loud, it can make or break someone before the legal system even gets a chance to work. That's a whole other issue we need to be thinking about. How do we find truth and justice in this digital age?
Right. It's a new world. But this case, it's pushing for real change, making people think about how to make the music industry safer, how to support survivors.
It's about making sure everyone feels safe and respected.
Exactly. This has been a wake-up call, and we have to keep talking about it, keep pushing for change. We can't go back to pretending this doesn't happen.
This deep dive, it's been a journey. We've gone behind the scenes of an industry that's supposed to be all glitz and glamour, and we've seen the dark side. But we've also seen the power of people speaking out, demanding justice. That's hopeful.
It is. And this story's not over. We'll keep following it, see how it all unfolds. But for now, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon to tackle another topic that needs to be explored.
See you next time.